I'm here again in front of you with another poem from your syllabus. The name of the poem is The Trees by Adrienne Rich. This poem is from your book First Flight and the poem number is 8. So let's begin. As usual, first I'll go with the short biography of Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich was born in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. She was a famous poet, teacher, essayist, and feminist. Throughout the 1960s, she wrote several collections, including Snapshots of a Daughter-in-Law and leaflets. The content of her work became increasingly confrontational, exploring such themes as women's role in society, racism, and the Vietnam War. Rich wrote Driving into the Wreck, a collection of exploratory and often angry poems, which garnered her the National Book Award in 1974. In 1997, Rich was awarded the Academy of American Poets Wallace Stevens Award for outstanding and proven mastery in the art of poetry. So now let's move on to the synopsis of the poem The Trees by Adrienne Rich. This poem highlights the conflict between human beings and nature. Nature has been exploited for the benefit of human beings. The poet wants to show that everything has deep desire to acquire freedom. It is necessary for our growth and well-being. Displacement of natural habitat results in the mismatch in the ecosystem. God has a purpose which humans need not interfere with. So this is what is the synopsis of the poem. Now let's move on to the stanza. First of all, I'll go with the picture description of tree vocabulary. As you can see, twigs, boughs, oak tree, and like those words, so that you are able to relate in your mind whenever you go through such terms in the poem. Anyway, now let's move on to stanza 1. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. My dear students, first of all, let's discuss vocabulary. No sun bury its feet refers to the fact that no shadow of the sun can be visible as there are no trees. Empty refers to vacant, hollow, missing. Now let's understand line by line. First two lines. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days. The is that the trees in the house are moving outside into the forest, which has been empty for a long time. As a result of the forest being empty without any trees, there was no shelter for birds, no shelter for insects. Okay, even sunlight could not bury its ray. So this is what is line number 3rd and 4th all about, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. Next, the forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. But the poetess is very much sanguine, very much hopeful that the forest might have been empty without any trees, but the forest will be full of trees the next morning. Next morning, when once again she's imagining a situation where the forest will be replete with all the trees the next morning. So the poetess is getting very much hopeful, and towards the end she is saying the forest is bare of its trees. There is no tree. The forest is empty because of man-made activities. Okay, so you see here trees are used as an imagery here by the poet to show the empty forests and the false nature that humans have tried to keep in their houses. Human beings have decorated their houses with the objects made of trees. Okay, human beings for commercial reason have cut down the trees. That is why deforestation has taken place, and this is what the poet is trying to highlight in this poem. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. It means the roots of the trees were working together all night. Here roots have been personified. Like human beings, they become, they are working. Okay, so roots of the trees work all night to free themselves through the cracks on the veranda floor, because artificial plantation has taken place in the house. So the roots of the trees are trying to come out of the floor of the veranda of the house, so that they can go to the forest, because forest is their natural habitat and home is their artificial habitat, where they have no freedom, no proper growth. Therefore they are longing for going back to their natural habitat, that is the forest here. Okay, in this poem here, the poetess wants to highlight the fact that trees are trying hard to move to their natural habitat, that is forest here. The leaves strain towards the glass, small twigs stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic doors. Now let's first study the vocabulary. Twigs stiff with exertion refers to topmost branches of the tree is called twigs, so become hard with pressure. The twigs become hard. Stiff matlab hard with exertion means pressure, because they are trying to come out of the house. So out of, they are exerting some pressure so that they come out of the house. Therefore the twigs have become stiff with exertion. Long cramped boughs. Cramped. Why long cramped boughs? Because house has ceiling, so the trees cannot grow vertically. They cannot grow. Therefore, why they are not able to grow in the house? Because of height restriction. Okay, because the ceiling is restricting their growth. Therefore, the boughs have become cramped. Long branches of trees have become cramped due to lack of space inside the house. Shuffling under the roof. Roof means here ceiling of the house. Like newly discharged patients. Okay, like patient when discharged from the hospital, released from the hospital after the treatment gets over, he is in a hurry to return home. Okay, because artificial hospital is like an artificial habitat for the patient. So he, after his release is announced, he is in a hurry to come back to home. Okay, likewise the trees are, the long branches of trees have become cramped inside the house because their growth is being restricted inside the house. Therefore their condition has become like the newly released patient, okay, who is in a hurry to come out of the hospital and reach home. Likewise the trees are also in a hurry to come out of the house and move to their natural habitat, that is forest, in this poem. So that's about stanza 2. You see the notes you can see on your screen. They try to move slowly from there and look like newly discharged patients who are half asleep due to influence of medicine. Here long cramped boughs are also exhausted, okay, and they are not feeling comfortable, and their condition is like the newly released patient in a hurry to go to their natural habitat. So now let's move on to the next stanza, that is stanza 3. Let me first read out the stanza, then we'll discuss vocabulary and explanation thereafter. I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a sky still open. The smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice in the rooms. So dear students, as you can see here, the poetess is saying she is sitting inside a room and her doors to the veranda is open, and she's writing a long letter. But while she's writing a long letter, she's not mentioning about the fact that the trees are trying hard to come out of the house and enter their natural habitat, that is forest. She hasn't mentioned of this phenomenon in her letters. That is what she's saying. I sit inside, doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. The night is fresh, the whole moon shines in a sky still open. The poet is saying the atmosphere outside, it's full clear moonlight sky. In this situation, the smell of leaves and lichen, okay, is coming out of the house from the artificial plantation. The smell is coming from inside the house, but this smell even the smell has a tinge of protest, okay, in it. What kind of protest? Because of confinement, because of imprisonment of the trees inside the house, okay, they are, even their smell, it seems, is protesting. So the smell of leaves and lichens is compared to a voice which is crying out for freedom from the boundaries of the house. So this is what is the meaning of the last two lines of this stanza. The smell of leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice. Even in the smell there is a protest, the writer is saying, the poetess is saying. Even in the smell of leaves and lichen, there is a protest to come out of the house, of the artificial habitat, and come down to the forest, their natural habitat. Now let's move on to the next stanza, that is stanza 4. First, with the reading of the stanza. My head is full of whispers, which tomorrow will be silent. Listen, the glass is breaking. The trees are stumbling forward into the night. Winds rush to meet them. The moon is broken like a mirror. Its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. So let's go with the explanation. My head is full of whispers, which tomorrow will be silent. The poetess is saying that the rustling sounds of the leaves and the lichens that she is able to hear cannot be available tomorrow, as the trees are migrating to their natural habitat tomorrow morning. Therefore, the rustling sounds of the trees and leaves and lichens will no longer be available from tomorrow morning onwards. The glass is breaking, the trees are stumbling forward into the night. The glass is breaking means whatever obstacle the trees are finding on their way, here the glass window or any kind of a barrier in the form of glass, the tree is trying to break open so that they are able to go outside, step outside the house. Okay, the trees are stumbling forward. Why are the trees stumbling forward? Because they are in a hurry to leave the house. So they are falling on each other, and in the process they stumble forward. Okay, next, winds rush to meet them. It seems that even wind is extending its arms to welcome the trees, welcome the decision of the trees to come out of the artificial habitat. Now, next and the last two lines of the stanza, which is very important, my dear students, so please do pay attention to the explanation part. The moon is broken like a mirror. Okay, here it's a simile. The moon has been compared to a broken mirror. As you can see on your screen, the moon is like a broken mirror which has been broken into pieces, as the shadow of the oak tree divides the moon into many pieces. Okay, like the mirror, the pieces of the broken mirror, okay, get spread out onto a large surface area. The same way, the moonlight will get spread out, okay, into a larger area, owing to the presence of a large number of trees in the forest. Okay, so this is what is the explanation of these two lines. Now let's move on to the next point, that is literary device. Literary devices, first to begin with imagery, the tree inside are moving out into the forest. That is, that we are this particular thought is creating image in our mind. The trees inside are moving out into the forest. Next is its pieces flash now in the crown of the tallest oak. the tree, sun, then personification. The tree, sun, and boughs have been personified. Next is alliteration. Long letters, forest from, sky still, leaves, and lichen. Okay, the consonant letters are repeated as highlighted by the green letters here on your screen. Next is simile. Moon is broken like a mirror. So moon is compared to the mirror here. Next is long cramped boughs, like newly discharged patient. Long cramped boughs of the trees are compared to newly released or discharged patients. Tree compared to patients here. Next, still reaches like a voice into the room. Smell of leaves and lichens is compared to the voice here. Okay. Next is enjumpment. Enjumpment refers to continuation of a sentence to the next line without punctuation. So the forest that was trees by morning, you'll find in stanza 1 when you go through the poem, and then the leaves train to half days in stanza 2. Whenever you go through the poem, please take a note of all this, because in the examination they often ask the literary device used, especially in the extract questions. So my dear students, now let's recapitulate what we have learned throughout the entire duration of our explanation today. So let's begin. The poem highlights the conflict between man and nature. Humans have displaced the natural habitat of trees, thereby causing damage to nature. Displacement of habitat creates ecological imbalance. Men have ruined the forest in the process of adorning their homes with tree-made objects. In the symbolic context, trees are metaphor for women who are longing for coming outside the bondage of homes and contribute to the progress of civilization. Thank you, dear students, so very much for watching my channel. And for detailed question and answer, please follow my blog, which is englishwithmonotosh.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching.